it might be something we come back to and revisit when we have a few more eyes. It was just something I was feeling into about extending that harmonization bridge up through the solar network, just to share that frequency and to anchor it more deeply. What else have you been getting pings on lately to check in on? There's been a couple of things kind of pop up as I've been sitting with the path forward, but I'm curious if anything's come to you.
Oh, yeah, I have a whole list of kind of notes from that I've been. Let me pull it up here, and I can kind of read through some of this, and maybe it'll proc some tickle your brain and stimulate something that we can co-create on. Let's see here. This is from my MSI meeting that I had with JJ. It's interesting because I've been picking up on a similar theme, and I'm just going to kind of read them off here. So, calibrating your physical body at the optimal frequency, optimizing the circuitry in order to facilitate and witness kind of the new templates and the new architecture. Doing this type of calibration, or I stated as more like getting into the physical body more. I've been led to do more and more and more. Allows it, like, it's more easeful for the physical body with what we're doing, right? And I put what we're doing, I'm saying like very broadly, but like what we're doing is all the things that we've been talking about on all these calls and all the things that we've been feeling, like that, the integration, the recalibrating. To me, the word is reharmonizing is the word that, like, I feel strongest. Like that is what really has. I feel very strongly about that word specifically because it's kind of an umbrella. Let's see what else. Talked about, like, we talked about this before, but like updating the frequency, getting out of the way of. Well, she's talking specifically clients, but getting out of our own way essentially is how I would kind of say it to, like, the broader, to like calibrate this, like a broader. It's not us versus. So it's not us versus, like, we get so locked into kind of these modalities, right? Whether it's like Reiki or MSI or name anything, like there's NLP. There's so many different modalities that are out there. And what she was saying, what JJ was sharing with us is like, hey, like the way things are, and we're all like, if you're tapped in, you're noticing what's happening, right? You're feeling it in your body at like the deepest cellular level. And she's essentially saying like, hey, these modalities are great. It's amazing if you're certified or you're taught or you're channeled or whatever it is, but be open to the new updated frequency. Be open to, don't like lock yourself into it, because we get so kind of like, and I'm guilty of this too, right? Guilty is probably not the right word, but it's like, no, it has to be this way that I was taught, and anything that's outside of that may potentially not be aligned, when the truth is, if you are a way shower, right, if you're a light worker, if you are a channel, oracle, healer, like being open to these possibilities and calibrating your body, your mental body, your physical body, and your emotional body, that is what we need in order to bring in and, like, truly anchor this updated, like, template, this updated frequency, anchoring this architecture in that we're all kind of calling in together. I mentioned, just for the purposes of the completion on the call, like the record keeping, she pointed to specifically as an example when we were in Egypt, and a lot of people were having, myself included, I was experiencing a lot of physical symptoms, right? The calibration in Egypt is such a potent, powerful place. she specifically pointed to the healings that we were doing together as a model of what is dropping in and as a model to show other people. So not only like are we embodying that frequency by healing other people together, right? She mentioned specifically you can do an MSI with another modality supporting you, because two people can hold this field. They can hold this grid, right, and anchor this grid in a way that one person simply cannot, right? Even if let's just say if I processed 1,000 lives, right, but when I grid with you, when I work with you, when we hop into the quantum, into the 0 point together, that you get that it's like a multiplicative like effect, a synergistic effect that you simply cannot hold as one person, right? Let's see what else here. Not all of us receive the same way. Honoring personal sovereignty was another thing that she talked about. Finding that balance in the calibration. She specifically mentioned speaking light language, hand light language, writing down codes if that's coming through for you, because all these things are very supportive. So it's not just the English language that we are communicating through in spirituality, and if you're listening to this on the playback, we know this, but when she said it, it's like, it's like the first time I heard it, but I've heard her say it 15 times, 20 times, and I channel my own light language too, but it's like, it's this constant kind of reminder, this model that we hold for ourselves. It's like, hey, we have these tools, we have the ability to self-calibrate, to self-attune. We are limitless, sovereign creators, right? We've done this in so many lifetimes. We just forgot, right? Forgot in air quotes. So she's saying, right now with the way the energy is, use your light language. Use all the tools that are available to you. Hop into community together, support one another, right? And maybe it's not even light language. Maybe it's just singing. Maybe it's chirping. Maybe it's toning. I catch myself kind of like humming, and I'm like, I didn't even know that I was humming, but like my body naturally is just like doing this stuff to help me kind of like calibrate and stay anchored and stay grounded and stay level because of all the different frequencies that we're experiencing. She's saying that another thing that she mentioned, and I felt true, and her and Teresa are kind of co-channeling this message together, and we're all kind of hopping in. We're doing popcorn style, so this is kind of a collective frequency that I'm sharing with you. The next 3 to 6 months, she specifically mentioned the bones, so pay attention to like the bones. And I had mentioned to me when I'd heard that, it feels like to me, because your bones is like your marrow is in your bones, right? Our blood is produced out of the marrow, and our DNA, right, is in our blood, right? There's plasma as well that's produced. So she specifically mentioned bones, but I would say I saw it as like phasing. We're getting upgraded, and all of you, and Leni, you mentioned this too specifically. You mentioned like, hey, we feel it, and not just we feel it, we know it. And when we know it, it's like it's true, right? It's true in our reality. And let's see, there was one last point I wanted to mention too. Sorry, I know this is a bit long-winded. We did an automatic writing / channeling session with a couple questions, which I found very useful and very supportive. So we can chat about that sometime. And then yeah, I think that was basically it. There was some other stuff, but yeah, I think that's what I got for now.
Yeah, those are great reminders. As you're speaking about it, I'm looking for ways to translate that into the frequency of this Galactic Astral Adventures container. And so in a way, just bridging that awareness to the other parts of ourselves that are helping to carry these frequencies. Feeling Andromedan energy is at the forefront of what's supporting these transmissions as well, and the anchoring and the alchemy there. And it's not just them, it's like a whole collective. It's like grid isn't really the right word, but it's like this collection of different frequencies across time and space that are gathering in a central meeting point within us to just transmit and translate as we upgrade the frequency of our light.
Yeah. Whoopsie, I forgot to hit the record button there.
I was also reminded of remember when we were channeling into that ship?
I was just thinking about that. Like, as you said, like translating to the galactic, I was literally just thinking about where we left off on our kind of own personal, I guess for the purposes, did you want to explain for the purposes of the record keeping? Like, because a lot of people don't know that that's kind of like a local mission that we're working through. Or I can explain it either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can both share a recollection of it. I believe it started as like a field clearing mechanism because there was something in the field we were tracing and um just kind of clearing that out for the grids and for the collective, and we ended up bumping into a pretty large galactic ship that was trying to land in Salt Lake City. And so as we tapped into that, we went on this whole trajectory about, what is this ship and where is it from and does it have the authority to be here, and kind of calling in those authorities. And it was very galactic and very almost exopolitical, but very interesting just to witness and in a way be the steward of that process to just ensure the highest alignment. Um,
I just got a ping, not to interrupt you, but maybe this will come through in the cards about Three Eye Atlas. Because Three Eye Atlas has been very loud, but this frequency that we're talking about that we had originally channeled was probably like, I guess in July, does that sound right? Around July-ish? Because it was after, it may have been after Yellowstone, I can't remember.
it was right before.
Okay, so we're in July, is that?
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, that that frequency that we were able to channel is kind of a way showing frequency and a way for as above, so below, right? So we're talking about galactic gridding on this call specifically, but when we were channeling originally, it was much more planetary, but the ships are galactic ships, right, that we're talking about. So I just got a little ping here because we had channeled into essentially the crystalline heart of Salt Lake City. We had anchored a honeycomb structure of 13 honeycombs stacked vertically into a pillar of light, a honeycomb pillar of light, and then connected that to the crystalline heart of Salt Lake City. And we had channeled before this call, we had noticed that there is a galactic port connected to Salt Lake City specifically. Other large cities have ports as well, but we're based in Utah. So this is, that's what we were channeling. And when we connected that vertical honeycomb pillar of light, that's when we checked in on the Port Authority. And we noticed, what is this ship that had gone undetected up until that point? I mean, we don't typically channel into the galactic port, but it came through, and I find it very interesting. Now we're fast forward July, August, September. We're the end of September, looking towards the frequency of bookending the end of our year, right? This last quarter, post eclipse, post equinox, fall equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere, and then the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. If you're listening to us, we are in North America. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, or if that has anything in the field for you.
Yeah, I mean, part of the time that we're in too is this like equinox bridge as well, from kind of the beginning of September into mid-March 2026. And so I think that's part of why we're seeing the transmutations the way that we are, the shifting the way that it's coming through. And if I remember right, we channeled into a little bit of the energy and purpose of that particular ship, and just to see kind of what it was all about and what it was coming here to do. And uh it stepped forward as a frequency assistance to essentially give a pathway and an easy exit point for all of the density and the stories and the I interpret it as the pain from our past, like a way out of the system so that we could truly like turn over a new leaf and step into that new energy fully unencumbered. And so I think that's part of what Three Eye Atlas is helping to accomplish, as well as it's sort of modulating frequencies throughout the solar system and transmitting information between the planets and the orbital paths and the different like solar energies that are present. And so just witnessing that and honoring it. The cards I have stepping forward are Alchemy and Pioneering Spirit. Almost feels like an elder community. It's like also helping to bridge the gap between like our parallel aspects as we really bring all of that in and alchemize it within, allowing ourselves to like honor those parts of us. So I don't know if we want to tap in and see if there's any like directives that want to step forward, or that we could help to assist in any way, holding space in the quantum field.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I was just remembering too is if you've been following the playbacks, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but that's okay. Catch you up. Thank you for being here so much. We appreciate you. Is that prior to us going to Egypt, we completed the gridding of our local solar system, starting at the sun, moving our way all the way out, past Pluto. And this gridding that we did over a span of like, I don't know, what was it, like 3 calls? Does that sound right?
Like that. Yeah, it was a couple weeks.
A couple weeks, yeah. Very potent channeling. So if you want to catch up, click the link down below, and we can catch you up on those, absolutely. But that gridding that happened for the local solar system was as Three Eye Atlas was, I think, already like either approaching or was already in our solar system, in the orbit of our solar system. Now, today is the 30th of September. 3i Atlas has passed the sun, past Mars, is that correct? Or approaching Mars?
Something like that. Sounds right.
Yeah. And like you were sharing, transmitting information, if you will, and clearly communicating effectively, not only with us and those who are attuned to communicate with 3i, but also the other planets, and they're all gridded together. So, yeah, I would love to tap in and kind of see what's in the field. We had also channeled a organization, collective that was in the asteroid belt that had stepped forward as well. Just before, so I think it was the 5th of August, 6th of August, 5th of August, as we were headed to Colorado for 8/8, we did some channeling on the road, and they stepped forward to assist. So just kind of remembering the different things, and then even before that too, probably in July timeframe, we had channeled on, I think it was a Gridplay call too, that there were other like non-traditional galactic star families or cosmic star families that were stepping forward to assist. And at the time when I had tapped into it and channeled, I mean, I was barely able to kind of like detect that frequency-wise. And we had talked about a good way to bridge to these lesser, not really traditionally known star families is connecting to your personal star families or your council that you do, you are in community with, and then asking for that bridge to that updated frequency of those who are here to assist and weave with us. So I see you pulling cards there.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the asteroid belt, because that was also on my mind and I failed to mention it. So I think a good plan for today is let's drop in, and as we drop in and anchor into our physical bodies and anchor in our ground, we'll shift our awareness up through our quantum pillar of light and towards our local sun. I think we anchor in our local sun for the transmission today. See what wants to step forward from our parallel selves in the highest alignment. If there's anything that wants to step forward, either from 3i Atlas or from this cosmic home base location in the asteroid belt, there might be something bridging there. But I definitely feel like there's a lot of alchemization happening as 3i Atlas moves through the solar system. Like it's calibrating with the sun too. And so I think just centering our awareness there and anchoring that communion into that space to then bridge and expand it beyond, I think will be interesting to see what wants to step forward beyond that. So just taking a couple of deep breaths here. Anchoring into our physical body, bringing in all the parts of ourselves across the whole quantum field, across all that is, calling those pieces into our heart space, bringing them home with a warm hug. Imagining our breath flowing into us like a waterfall. Imagine it pooling in the heart space, breathing a little more deeply and slowly than usual. Expressing gratitude to our bodies, to our field, to our presence. And feeling that gratitude ripple through our bodies, a wave of higher awareness, with joy and play and love from our inner children, all the galactic children, those hybridized parts of us. Bridging through the field and making their way home. As we send this frequency of thankfulness and gratitude and joy, play and love through our whole bodies, focusing that stream of light down our central channel, down through our roots, down our legs, out our feet, into the energetic mycelium network of the planet, allowing those frequencies to harmonize, becoming one emanation of light. And sending that light like a spear down through all the layers, down into the core of the earth, the heart womb of Mother Sophia. Connecting and anchoring to the crystalline heartbeat, the cosmic rhythm, amplifying our love as we bring that frequency back up our central column, through our pillar of light, sending that energy all the way up our pillar, back towards source. Allowing yourself to move with that light up and out your pillar, through your soul star chakra, through your universal chakra. Imagine yourself traveling towards the sun. See yourself approaching it, big radiant ball of light. Meeting and anchoring in the core of the sun. Making yourself comfortable in its central radiance chamber. I personally see it as a bit of a control room with lots of screens and buttons and comfy chairs. So however you visualize that space, just making yourself comfortable, settling in. And then tapping into these frequencies that we've been discussing with the bridging of the higher dimensional consciousness. modulating the frequency as we uplift our awareness and our state of calibration, meeting it in unity consciousness. The other cards that were coming out were related to past timelines, frequencies of homesickness created by self-sacrifice, the perception of the missing link, and any other timelines and frequencies contributing to the perception of separation. Finding a common ground through alchemy and our pioneering spirit to bridge the gap of transmutation and fully integrate and harmonize these templates that no longer serve collective, amplifying our channels as we expand the space for transmutation, holding a field of love, compassion, service to others as we witness all that comes up to be transmuted and released. Remembering all the parts of us that perceive any sort of lack, any sort of judgment, any perception of lost opportunity, lost love, recognizing those parts of us that have forgotten the unity consciousness within, that have neglected their needs and their emotions, their desire for love. Allowing an anchoring of acceptance and transmutation as we up-level these awarenesses, bringing those parts of us home, meeting their unfulfilled needs, and witnessing their divinity and their perfection as we bridge with one another to become the wholeness that is us.
I'm gonna kind of calibrate with some light language here. Do you mind? Can we turn the volume down just a little bit? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Whoops, that's off.
Too low. Too low.
Still more?
No, I think it's okay. Yeah, as long as we can hear it. You tell me what's good for you.
I mean, I can barely hear it, but if you can hear it, then it's good. Whatever.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Perfect.
I can hear it. If you want to turn it up a little more, it's okay. If you need it. Just kind of calibrating to our space there in the sun, in our central sun, in the solar logos. Refamiliarizing. It's interesting that you brought this frequency through, and thank you for reminding me. It's like that first time I heard it. You know what I mean? Like, I love being able to have a place that is calibrated, specifically for what we're doing, right? This space here in the sun, it has a different, I wanted to say frequency, but the temperature is like what my human wanted to say. There's something about, and maybe this could just be a me thing, but if this resonates for you, there's something about going to a prepared space, maybe even like a sacred space, if that's what you call upon. I heard resonance chamber as well. Tachyon chamber came through for me earlier, but that's a bit more, a little bit different frequency. Because it gives you essentially a grid that we can channel from, work from, anchor into, attune to, calibrate. The frequency of the planet, Mama Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever verbiage feels most aligned to you, is there's just a lot of density is the word. Some other people may use the word like blockages, heaviness in the collective right now, even a bit of chaos. So having a sacred space, especially when we're talking about galactic gridding, to work from is very important. It's very useful. And then opening our central channel, our central pillar, setting aside my ego to be an open and clear channel. There is some, and I'm just going to name it, and we'll name it and release it. There is some, like a little bit of resistance on the human side. So, human being, we are incarnated, and then we have our highest self, higher self, highest divine essence, whatever verbiage works and hits for you. But for me, I typically say my highest self. Our highest self isn't weighed down by the human side of things, right? We are gridded in a way, but much more, as you're thinking, as I'm thinking through this and feeling through this intuitively, much more vertical frequency, that's free from the density, not held in the illusion or delusion. Setting the intention that all that comes through is for our highest, greatest good. Free of misalignment, weaving in the frequency of the rainbow bridge, diamond and crystalline and above. Fully anchored, fully embodied. I was interested to kind of tap into and see just what's in the mission logs. We've downloaded some stuff and it's been kind of cooking in the background. So just asking, I'm just going to pull the mission logs up currently and just kind of put them on the screen, and you can imagine this however you want to. I typically envision a very large screen in front of me, much larger, and then I have some like smaller screens above and below that are futuristic, highly advanced. You can literally like pinch, throw it up onto the screen, zoom it out, inquire in whatever way you can possibly imagine. So yeah, just asking for an update on the current mission logs. And we work with and inviting in my own personal counsel as well. My guides, your guides, our galactic pertinent soul families to weave with us as we are just watching them step forward, but in a very galactic way. Like, normally I see individuals or I see collectives, and sometimes we're like sitting in this like boardroom type scenario when I call upon my council or star families, but they rolled up in like some massive ships that I've never seen before. So thank you for that. Yeah, super dope. Huge. So that's just acknowledging that in gratitude for sharing that frequency with me, and then I'm able to articulate that for our friends on our galactic gridding call, asking for the weaving of sacred co-creation in alignment with our own intentions, remembering our intention in the now moment. Asking pertinent multidimensional soul aspects to step forward and weave in the highest alignment as well. Right up front is the galactic harmonization. And then right behind them, for me, channel into what's coming through for you. I'm just kind of stating this for so that we can kind of weave together. My architect stepping forward as well. That's interesting. Asking the galactic dolphins to weave in this frequency. Fire up that higher dimensional sonar and help me kind of ascertain what I'm seeing here. I've never seen this, but a navigator as well. Is it mine or yours? Yours. Yours. Interesting. Never seen that before. It feels very strongly like a soul aspect. It looks so amazing. It's so cool. A very Alita Battle Angel frequency, but with a skin color and tone that is like iridescent blue. Yeah, iridescent blue. So like, take that how you will. And I'm watching, and again, this is just a representation. I'm watching like has her hands extended out like this, and that's like how it's navigating. But like what's underneath, like imagine if you were to take my portal behind me and like put that flat underneath your hands, that's what I'm seeing. It's like a flat, yeah, that's what it's like. I'm just trying to paint the picture the best I can. It wouldn't be like huge like this, but it would be like similar color but flat, and then kind of extending out, you know, into the like aura of your. I'm just like watching kind of like this movement happen. Kyoko. A little sassy. A little sassy, are we? um, they were like, "Buckle up, Buttercup," and I was like, "Okay." Like, I don't typically wear a seatbelt, but sure. Um, yeah, that's really interesting.
Well, as you're bringing that through, I was feeling called to um essentially like assist in some frequency harmonization with the solar consciousness. Just to, I think, illuminate um, more brightly, more aligned. And so following the thread of solar consciousness up the line in the perfectly optimized path back to source wholeness, bridging and amplifying the alchemy potential throughout the system and lubricating the frequency for its highest resonance and most aligned integration. I'm just extending that into all nodes of the network. Um, Using we haven't talked about this for a while, but do you remember the sphere and cube technique?
Yes, absolutely. You may have to explain it for our call, but
Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar with this sphere and cube, it's essentially um, just one way to harmonize frequency, where the sphere is a universal like deleter of energy. Deleter isn't really the right word because we know that energy can't be deleted, but it's a transmutation device to um, essentially send it back to source consciousness to then be recreated and recycled into a new frequency. And so deleter really isn't the right word here. It's more of extractor in a way. So utilizing the sphere and just imagining a stream of light entering into the sphere from any, parts that we're looking at transmuting and just sending that energy into the sphere. And then the cube is a universal rewriter of energy. And so it's almost um, pulling energy from source and rendering it into the space as the newly harmonized, newly aligned frequency. And generally, I just picture each of these like in my general vicinity, and then streams of light is what communes between them and whatever it is that we're looking at. And so I'm just looking at this network of light, looks a little bit like mycelium network doesn't quite do it justice. It's more like neurons in a brain map, the way I'm seeing this like solar consciousness as a network. And so I'm kind of just like focusing on different areas that maybe look a little dimmer or are flickering a bit, and just going with the sphere and cube and just like I don't even have to like mentally send the energy. It's more just like a resonance frequency that we're holding space for the highest alignment and the perfect optimization. And so in sending that frequency of perfect optimization through this little technique mechanism that we've got going on here, it just resonates through, and the cube is sending that frequency of perfect optimization and highest alignment. And as as it does, and the network or the nodes or the communication lines receive that light, they're automatically switching it out for that which is essentially the opposite frequency. So it's a little bit of noise cancellation isn't really the right terminology either, but you could think of it like that, where in order to um, bring something to a baseline, you introduce its opposite frequency. And so essentially in introducing the frequency that we're calling in, we're magnetizing what is opposite from that into the sphere to be extracted to and removed from the system, to be sent back to source for alchemization and transmutation. So utilizing that technique to clear out all remnants of density that remain in the pipes, if you want to call it that, pipes in the network. Kind of like a frequency Drano is the effect that it has. And so as we work with these parts, it dissolves any buildup. You might think of like plaque in your arteries or something, any buildup inside of those mechanics to dissolve as we fully harmonize these paths of communication in the solar network to um, allow for and empower the brightest amplification of light, that which the collective solar system level consciousness is ready to receive. I'm seeing it lighting up all the planets as it does, and so it almost is bringing in light from source as a complementary frequency modulator to this process that's happening with the three-eye atlas, and resonating through the planetary bodies and through the orbital paths in its perfect alignment as it harmonizes in the most optimal way.
Yeah, what I was getting as you were bringing that through, and thank you for bringing that through, because it's weaving with, this field that we're, I wanted to say condensing, but I see Three Eye Atlas as many different things, but almost like in the spirit of what you were just talking about, like a precision tool, a precision instrument is what I was like hearing, what I was like feeling. Whereas what you're talking about is a much more like solar system wide process. The frequency that Three Eye Atlas is going about is much more precise versus like what would be like a very diffuse or broadband like nodal wide process that we're talking for the local solar system. And that's why a lot of people have there's many different things to say for 3i, but and it's interesting that the comment that's behind or even parallel is like the swan comment too, which I found very interesting. So it's I would be really surprised if there isn't like a perfect third, like super surprised if there wasn't like a perfect third. I think I did read that there is a third one, but for sure the two that we're aware of. So yeah, just kind of feeling into that. But what I was getting personally as you were bringing that through for us is I'm watching kind of the vertical grid. When I say grid, don't necessarily like limit our human understanding. I would say expand on what that human word means. It's not necessarily like linear. It could be curved. It could be whatever your perception is. So don't limit yourself to viewing an actual grid. But I'm looking at a very vertical, expansive aspect into the higher dimensions and then up into the higher densities, because we're always channeling and thinking of and through the lens harmonizing with our galactic harmonicians back to the original organic blueprint, back to unity consciousness, right? So we are, very flat and linear, if you want to think of it that way. But I encourage you to kind of send your awareness, like even zoom out. That's the way I typically, like, you can imagine like a picture, pinch and zoom, or just zoom your awareness out. And you can even take it, like, don't limit it to your conscious awareness, so like pull yourself up and out and take a much broader, expansive view of what we're talking about. And what I was looking at is kind of like the vertical grid, the vertical aspect, the frequencies above and the frequencies below this resonance field that we're building. And you can picture it as a toroid. You can picture it as what was just shown to me as I was speaking at, as like a spinning ball of light. That's very, the toroid in Leni's background, and then you have kind of the spinning ball of light in my background. If you were to imagine that as just and I think those are two great word pictures to think about, or even combine them together. Put a toroid in the middle of this galaxy, and then just watch the particle resonance, just like you were to pluck a string, and that vibration and frequency radiates outwards. It's not just going laterally, horizontally, it's going vertical as well, the XYZ axis. Well, if you can imagine not just the XYZ, right, that's in the 3D, try and call in, try and remember through your soul aspects, if you have to, through your galactic families, that expanded frequency, that expanded harmonic resonance, that expanded field that we're weaving at a galactic level. When we're thinking of galactic grid play, yes, the local solar system, absolutely anything outside of planetary is in play, but really just kind of starting to attune and calibrate our consciousness, our conscious awareness to this expansive harmonic frequency.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I noticed the similarities between our backgrounds, so I appreciate you calling that out, but it almost feels like like you've got the microcosm and I've got the macrocosm, and they're both kind of like can be seen as working together to create this larger system, this harmonization throughout the system.
And that's why I love Galactic Grid Play, because if you're watching this on playback, number one, thank you for making it this far. We're about an hour into the call right now. Number two, we build out this galactic gridding field together. So this is a very expansive, very co-creative field that we're building together, harmonizing. I don't know why I can't say that. Together. So that's why we'd love to have you in person here with us. And if you aren't able to make it due to the time, we completely understand, but it's really kind of part of that embodiment frequency that as we weave these threads of all of these lives that we're remembering and integrating fully together, we're able to basically piece together all of the many, many different things that we know, capital K know, capital R like remember. And each one of us has keys that we share with one another, and then in turn those keys kind of unlock different levels and layers and dimensions and densities. And that's why I just love these calls so much, especially the galactic, the gridding, the galactic Gridplay. And I love that you call it Gridplay, because it really is. And welcoming in the galactic children too into our space. I don't know if we specifically had invited them in, but they're always welcome into our space. When talking about that frequency of like play, work is a very adult, grown-up way of saying we need to give something in order to get something, and that isn't the frequency that we're representing here, that we're weaving here. We're talking about your divine, your personal divinity, right? Your personal dharma, your personal frequency of remembrance that we're remembering together, our personal field that we're building out and harmonizing, and then yeah.
I'm just asking what messages we can see from Three-Eye Atlas at this time in our highest alignment and purpose with merging with unity consciousness. And I'm pushing the envelope through our living in the now presence that leads us to our graduation, essentially, and big mental transformation beyond all the aspects of duality and polarity as we sync up with the galactic core, the universal pulse of life, to really embody this pioneering spirit of what we came to do and co-create together. So with that, let's tap into my navigator wants to take us to that home base location. So I'm curious what we can see there from the asteroid belt, and that our galactic team of, I don't think we have a label for them yet.
No, I don't. You're right. I don't think we came up
I'm
with
calling
an
it home
actual.
base for lack of better words.
Yeah, home base, headquarters. Yeah, so taking a little quick trip to the asteroid belt.
Yeah, we can either go there or just pull it up on the screen, whatever feels most aligned.
I say we do both.
Okay.
I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna go there by location, pulling that in, and then also pulling it up on the screen. So whatever feels most resonant to you. It reminded me of that. Like, look what I could do. What was that? Stuart?
Yeah.
Stuart, look what I could do. I can go to the asteroid belt and I can be in the sun, Mom. Like, look what I could do. That's an inside joke. Hopefully you're old enough to get that reference. A lot of people don't get that reference anymore. Alright, there's a couple things stepping forward. First, I want to acknowledge that as you were speaking about Three-Eye Atlas, I got a couple things that came forward immediately. One, while you were talking, so other galactic families, that's the term that I'll use. That's kind of a broad, all-encompassing spectrum. So just imagine it I'm being shown like ships, but I'm calling them galactic families, are watching, they're monitoring, they're co-creating with 3i Atlas on this specific mission. So just wanting to acknowledge that in the field. I feel that they are, and these ones that I'm seeing, I'll put seeing in air quotes, but I can actually see their ships, like actually see them. It feels like they're not near. So I say near or far. So it feels like solar system wide they're at the edge, or maybe even calling our parts home. Yeah, love that. Number 92. What is it at the bottom?
Serious.
Serious. Okay. Of course it's serious. Why so serious? We're so serious when we're channeling. It's funny because we're just like we're literally just like big kids.
Not wrong.
Just playing this game of like I could channel too. And then back to the home base or headquarters frequency. They're very like, so just for the purposes of the record, the representative that always steps forward for me when I channel them is a feminine frequency, very divine, radiant, almost just like pure light, but I do get like a feminine like face and a feminine flow. That's kind of like the figurehead, so like the public affairs point of contact essentially that step forward every time. So just they were welcoming us in. Very willing to continue our sacred co-creation together. And if something pops in, just hop in. You're not going to interrupt my channel. Please just say it out loud, because it may be a key that we need.
About having an appointment came to mind. I think one of the moon collectives or something, that I just sprung a memory of us tapping into something, and they were like, well, do you have an appointment? So
Yeah, I think that was for the official galactic meeting. They were asking us, like, are you representatives of Earth? And we're like, hey, man, we're just doing stuff. We're not officially anything. And they were like, well, we can book you an appointment for that date. And we're like, you know what? We're gridding the galaxy. We're good at this time. But
anyway, if we need an appointment to talk to the public affairs person.
No, she's fully fluent, fully tapped in. Actually, really excited to co-create. Is what I got.
Cool.
Yeah, she's excited to co-create with us. Glad that we followed up essentially. And the first thing she said was that a lot has changed. The actual word is transpired, but my human wants to say changed. Either word is good. Different frequency, but I think both very aligned since the last time that we talked, because this was like August 6th, around 8/8 essentially was the last time that we had channeled with them. And she was essentially saying, like, we have some updates. I said, okay, that's great. Like, please go ahead and just send the logs over, send the mission update. I'm being shown. Another. I'm not exactly sure why they're showing me this, but there's another, what I would call like race of beings that are there that weren't there before, that I can like perceive now. Cool. And they're kind of like, if you imagine like her forward as the public affairs person, kind of like, you know how Bashar speaks for his collective. This is what I'm seeing, like her stepping forward, but I can see around her kind of a collective of what would be their council essentially, that is located at this area, or that's channeling. They're together and I can see some of the different, for lack of a better word, like people that are in the field that are there as a part of this. And it's just getting my attention for some reason. I want to say like jellyfish, but they don't look like a jellyfish. But when I'm perceiving them, it's a jellyfish frequency. They actually look like brown, almost blob-like, but like in the shape of like a shell. I know that's not very super descriptive, but like tentacles would be more of an energetic frequency, not necessarily like what your human needs to see. So just as I'm channeling this stuff, just bringing that forward. And they're speaking in telepathy. So you're going to hear me speaking human light language or galactic light language. This is my soul's light language. But I'm actually having several conversations at once. I'm having a telepathic conversation. I'm being shown things mentally, and I'm also speaking light language as well. So they're acknowledging. Okay. When I say they, I'm talking about the collective. I'm not talking about a specific person. So I'm just being very, I don't know why I'm feeling the need to just kind of articulate the details if you're listening. They're essentially acknowledging the personal work that we've done, like we as in me and Leni, since the last time that we've channeled together. Which is really interesting because I was not expecting that whatsoever. I think it's because we are kind of in the field in a way, if that makes sense. So the field has it feels different. I put feels like energetically shifted, energetically the human words aren't super great, but it's different than last time. It's significantly, both of us weave in the frequency within the lens of unity consciousness with essentially everything that we do. All of the things that we call in and work with are within that framework of the law of zero, unity consciousness, the original organic blueprint.
Giving a nod to our collective of weavers as well. Like we may be stepping forward today as the representative of the group which we call home, but I'm seeing flashes of everybody's faces run across the screen too that also resonate in this frequency. So just witnessing that acknowledgement for our collective of friends and fellow light weavers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Even though we may be the ones on the call, we are highly supported, highly held, highly gridded with all of our soul friends, all of our close soul family, and even like we just met a group of like 23 amazing high frequency souls when we were in Egypt, and like their frequency, as we carry that with us, as we grid and so yes, deeply acknowledging all of support, love, gridding, the depth of understanding that they nurture us with, they anchor us with. I'm asking specifically for kind of some clarity and like mission specific. Like I'm just trying to kind of sift through the field and she says, and this is the feminine frequency, it's not so much what we do, but like who you are, which is that's always, it's like, oh, I want to do stuff. She's reminding us that we're already like doing it. And part of that is the willingness to step forward in the way that we are, not only working with our local solar system in the lens of galactic gridding, but also weaving with their council, weaving with them as well. And they're showing me, so my awareness is pointed up above the headquarters there, and they're showing me like a portal, a very large swirling portal above it, like an expanse, like kind of what's behind me. And as I'm looking up through this portal, what I'm seeing is essentially kind of like where they're from, because we're from our local solar system. And they're showing me kind of like, they're like, hey, take a look and like, you know, see, like perceive what you can see essentially. And I could see it very, very vividly, this place that they're showing me, a very holographic, very radiant, very prismatic, diffuse opalescent colors, highly advanced. And I think the purpose of showing me that was acknowledging what Leni had just said, knowing that we have our soul friends and our soul family that is supporting us. They're saying we see, acknowledge, and witness that for you, and then they're showing us like, hey, here is who we are weaving with. Here is our collective. Here is our support team, if you will. And like that's also like a vulnerable share too. You know, if you think about, I'm thinking about our soul friends and our soul family who we hold very near and dear to our heart, and it makes me a little emotional, like thinking about them. Like that is very intimate, very like vulnerable. And then to have somebody say, hey, here is who they are to me, like acknowledging what we're sharing with them, and then in turn reciprocating a vulnerable share. So I just want to witness that and just deep gratitude for that frequency. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, not at all.
And I think that's a testament to what it feels like to me is that it's a testament to us weaving in that full resonance, in that in harmony, right? Converging all of these magical people that are in our lives and calling them in and co-creating with them. And even if they're not with us like currently, right? Even if they came in and then for whatever reason they're no longer with us in the now moment, just deeply acknowledging that those threads that we shared together were very meaningful, very activating, at the time very aligned, at the time very value added, and they got us to where we're at in the now moment, to where we can hold that field, right? Not only hold that field, grid that field, up level that field, harmonize that field, and then share that frequency with other cosmic or star families as well, in full harmonic resonance and full clarity. And if you want to say, like, 4K, 8K, if we're talking about visualizations, we're talking like, and human words aren't really doing it justice when I'm trying to articulate, but what I'm saying is that all of these things matter. Every single thing that we do matters, because we're weaving this field, and then in turn harmonizing that field with the higher densities, with the higher dimensions, within the lens of returning back to unity consciousness. So just want to deeply acknowledge that, and just say how grateful I am for all of them, all of you. Yeah, just a lot of like gratitude just kind of flowed into my heart space, because I'm thinking about there are people who are no longer in my life that have made me the person who I am now, the spiritual person who I am now, not just like the human me, but like who I am spiritually, who had an influence on me. And I'm sure, Leni, you're thinking about some people that are near and dear to your heart, who wove with you, who taught you, who mentored you, who loved you, who showed up for you. And even if they're not here with us in the now moment, we still, like, we're never really like separated, if that makes sense in a way. Like, we are, because we're on our own trajectory, we're on our own spiral, we're on our own ascension path, but that weave and those threads, that braid, is happening in the now moment. Is anything coming through in the cards for you?
Just a few more layers of stuff that we're like clearing, and then anchoring with self-discipline to fully align with that clearing, which brings us to birth and expansion, beyond wisdom from the founders. So just expanding our appreciation and gratitude for all of those threads that have been a part of our growth as we I was gonna say hold the memories, but hold doesn't feel like the right word there, but just like honor and witness those memories and cherish them through the lens of growth and expansion and grander harmonization across the field. And I'm glad that you said what you did about the doing and the being, because it's this concept keeps coming up lately, is that we are enough just by being what we are. And that's a different perspective than our mental body is used to, because our mental body is convinced that we have to do something in order to whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so
I'm just like, yeah, it just stabbed me. I was like, ah.
So just holding space for that to shift within the collective mental body, as well, because the way I'm seeing our energy interact with this field, in this headquarters, home base location, it's just the way that we radiate is, weaves and coalesces and transmutes all on its own. And so just feeling into that gratitude from our home base counterparts of our willingness and ability and capacity to traverse the dimensions to meet them where they are so that we can they're saying they're already with us coalescing, the degree that is possible here, but amplifying that capability by meeting them where they are, allows us to up level that connection and then radiate it, across the expanse of what is there
She liked your words better.
through
she
holo
she says you are very wise. That's so interesting.
through
And
holographic
I always admit that. I was like, you are very eloquent, you are very well spoken, you are
I,
very high frequency, and that's why we weave together so well.
it's always fun. Thank you for articulating that. But through holographic healing and refining galactic lineages, really truly supporting us in this continual weave, this like yin yang. I see it like the yin yang kind of spinning and just like calibrating that balance as we witness, as the observer, all that is coming into balance. Holographic healing is interesting.
Yeah, that one stood out. Like, take a picture of that, post it onto the Telegram, yell that one from the mountaintops. Holographic healing is that hits. That hits because the human body is also like one of the collective threads that I keep hearing is healing. And maybe it's not necessarily like what we perceive. Maybe it is more of um, like a field, because you've done unity field like healing, right? It's a modality in itself. Um, but I think like when I hear the word healing, it's also like the physical body is asking for stability because as we are up leveling, right, as we are going into these higher octaves, right, we're still weaving the galactic with the human, right? So the human being is like, what is happening? And that's why it comes across as like healing, right? Healing. That's what I hear.
Yeah, and I think going back to the point you made earlier about the bones and the marrow and the blood, I think um I think it has something to do with the calibration at that level within our bodies, within our cellular structures and our DNA matrices. It's about calibrating to this higher degree of what is possible for our experience at the big picture levels of it. And so um lately I've been called to refine my word choice around, speaking of this idea of healing, because conceptually we understand, what it is to heal and repair and rebuild, but there's also a level of duality in the programming around this word. Like, if we need healing, it means something is broken, right? And so this kind of polarity aspect where um I personally feel a little bit less resistance with words like harmonize, alchemize, uplift. But with regard to the holographic side of things, I think it is very much recalibrating um, our bodies to remember our holographic nature and reestablishing the fields which made that existence a reality so that we can like walk into it and experience that level of light within ourselves in form. And some of these things we have to talk about conceptually because we still don't remember, right? And so we're in doing so though, we're bridging the gap of that remembrance by just like sprinkling these ideas into our awareness and letting them, marinate for a while and seeing what comes up in our consciousness and personal awareness around these things. Because there's a lot that we know and that we do remember, but as with anything, you don't know what you don't know until you do. So just holding space and honoring the process for that galactic remembrance frequency to process and alchemize in its perfect alignment.
Yeah, I like that you talked about healing because it's one of those, I wouldn't say paradox, but it's one of those loops that you can get stuck in as a spiritual person. I am a healer, not only in the 3D, but I am a Reiki master as well, Holy Fire. And I received healings from somebody for the better part of a year, weekly or like once every 2 weeks. And then it turned into like a weekly thing. And it's one of those things where it was like remembering and knowing that we can heal ourselves. We are fully capable of healing ourselves. Even specifically with the frequency of Reiki, if you're not attuned to Reiki, you can literally just call in Reiki and channel it for yourself. Does it help to be attuned? Sure, but nobody's to say like you could literally just learn how to do it yourself, and not even with Reiki. We are fully capable of healing our physical body. You are, if you're listening to this, you are absolutely capable of it. Many people have, many people will continue to do that. So I just want to acknowledge that there are times when we are feeling the need to heal. There are also times when healing isn't just for the physical body, it's for the mental body, it's for our emotions. And a lot of us come into spirituality in that tower moment, or maybe in that moment of weakness, or in that moment of like pain, or in that season of the shadow. Like that's how we kind of that's how I personally stumbled my way into spirituality. That dark night of the soul is like it's very cliche to say, but these are all terms that are like conceptually you can understand that, right? And so I'm not exactly sure I was going there. I just wanted to kind of acknowledge and witness what you said, and then also know that if you are in one of those seasons right now, if you are feeling that frequency, know that number one, you're never alone. We are here with you. We are weaving with the collective. We are the collective. You are the collective, and we are here to support you in any way possible, whatever feels most aligned. If you are in a season of integration, I am personally, and myself, in an extended kind of integration season. And at times that can feel a bit uncomfortable. Sometimes even like painful, I guess, in a way, emotionally. Not so much physical pain, but like emotional pain, and even like the mental body. When you're in emotional pain, it's difficult to not, your mental body fires up, right? So yeah, I just want to let you know that we see you, we acknowledge you, we are here to support you. The collective is here. The collective is high frequency. The collective is activated. The collective is gridded and weaved. And yeah, that you're not alone. That the things that you're experiencing, they do matter. And yeah, we see you, we hear you, we feel you. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of state that out loud. I'm not exactly sure why it came through, but it just did.
Well, I love what you said about just like having the awareness that even if you're not trained in a modality or have any specific certification like that, or training, that it's those gifts are in the field, like our personal gifts, those modalities, like that energy exists in the field. And so just connecting through a grateful heart allows us to ask the question. And in asking the question, I mean, there's something I learned in communication years ago, and it was talking about never answering an unasked question because it dilutes the frequency of what's at the table and what's being asked. And so I think that's the way I understand it. That's part of the free will paradigm is, our guides and those spirits in the field that assist us, that gather around us to co-create. They're always sort of on standby until you engage with them in order to not break the rules of the free will nature of things. But part of the magic is learning to ask the right questions. And that can be a process all its own, because like we said, we don't know what we don't know. But just simply taking a moment to connect in with a grateful heart and asking to be shown something, or asking to engage with a particular frequency or modality that you would like to learn about. I think that's one of the most valuable and important ways that we can tap into some of these things, is really pulling it through your own channel and honing that ability to connect with things energetically. Just can't be understated. So thank you for that reminder.
No, I love what you said. I'm not, yes, I love what you said. Echo that 1,000%. And thank you for articulating it in such an amazing way, is that we all have access to the field. And in the field are so many things. And you can imagine the field as an extension of the collective. So if you are searching for knowledge, or you're wanting to heal, or you're wanting to understand something, or you're wanting to remember something, we're all collectively working in the field. And it is at this point in history, the field is so strong, it's so clear, it's so resonant, it's so anchored. And yeah, you can literally just set an intention and focus, like you said, through a grateful heart, or call it in through your heart chakra. And then just listen, be open to receive. Like, that's so powerful. And I wish that I had known that. I had no idea about that 5 years ago whatsoever. I didn't know that I could just go into the field and like gain access to all of these things that I was searching. So like, I was so hungry for all of these different things. And if you're listening to this playback and you're in a period of expansion, and you want to work within the field, and you want to remember, there's so many different ways to do it. But I just highly encourage you to just show up and do it. Set the intention and do it. And spend that time every single day calling it in, anchoring that in, and you will be delightfully surprised at what you will remember, what you will know. You will literally wake up from a night's sleep and something has shifted or changed, and now all of a sudden it's like, Oh, I know this. Like yeah. So thank you.
Hmm. So is there any more this public affairs person is ready to show us today before we close out?
Kia tu kia ka.
Anything we can
Um,
help to bridge or witness or hold space for, particularly?
ki sioko uki na ata arfo uki ya ka
I'm feeling a
atioko.
connection between almost a triangulation, is what I just heard, between Three Eye Atlas, the sun, and this base. So I've personally been holding space for that, but if anything wants to step forward to be witnessed with regard to that on a grander scale, we can surely help to accommodate that.
Ki sioko uki na ata atioko uki hiana ato. Hoti hiyaka atu hotiaka kisioko o to oti shishana arka hishisho hatia oti shishoko essentially she's saying that they are in communication with Three Eye. They are um, working together in different ways, but the message that she's bringing through in regarding to what you specifically said, which is kind of what I'm tapping into, is that I heard a word. So the word that came through was preparedness or prepare, but specifically preparedness feels like more resonant. And kia ka tio ko, let me not assign my interpretation. What does that mean? Ki shoko otia da ar atia ka atia o titia tia ka ato otia na ar kia ko oto building. Okay. Kia ka ati si sia ko oto. So we're already on the right path. Clearly, further building out and bridging the communication, like bridging the network, the nodes out further. And this is like more planetary. So this is more like human type of stuff, human beings, specifically like with Earth. That can be applied so as above, so below. So we're not limiting ourselves just to that, but the message that came through was specifically like for Earth, so building out larger community in the way that's most aligned for us, and in a way that she's saying, remember what you said. So it's not loving hard, but loving soft. It's building the node and the network out in a way that is most resonant. It's not about the hard action, like going hard and fast and wide. It's about like going deep. It's about weaving in resonance, about discovering your soul family, discovering your soul friends, and then there's a lot of like in-person frequency coming through too. That's what's been coming through for me. So not only virtually, but etherically and in person. So we are embodying the frequency um, in many different ways. So whatever way feels most resonant for you, for me, it's like, okay, in person plus online plus continue to weave up through the dimensions etherically, continue on this path of remembrance, continue on this path of like holographic integration, holographic healing. What's coming through for you? I feel like you're getting something like in the field.
Um, just a recognition of some past patterning that was a result of rejecting our emotions. And so, as you're talking about connecting in with star families and remembering our origins, I'm getting something about the dream time being an important, like a critical factor in that process to the remembering and the integrating, because some of these concepts are a lot for our human conscious mind. And so, just if if it feels like an aligned path and something you'd like to request, just keeping an open mind to asking for those messages to come through in the dream time may provide some additional support in our devotion to service to this collective um, looking for the right word. Lots of different words are dropping in this moment. But it's like almost almost like we're lighting up a map of consciousness as we move through these phases and layers and, peeling back the onion and rediscovering those deeper inner parts of ourselves to just allow them to be what they are. Um, to accept the information that we receive as most aligned for us. And just a willingness to witness, because sometimes that's all that's required.
Yeah, there's a message of encouragement too that's coming forward as you were saying that. Like, um, like you said, it can be, especially like the word liminal event came through, so maybe it feels like a liminal space post eclipse or post equinox, that we're sitting in, almost like, oh, this anticipation of something that may happen before the end of the year, um, and just like an encouragement that we are already enough, that we are already fully aligned, that we are already walking this path consciously, awake, consciously weaving, um, with open hearts. And maybe there are difficult times when it causes the heart space to kind of contract, and maybe it's difficult to like fully sit in that heart space at times because of like what's happening in the world around you, you know. And it's like, God, I want my heart to be open so bad. Like, you have this deep yearning, but also like, I'm human and I'm having a human experience, and the emotions that I'm feeling are like deeply, um, they're just not easy. And it's like, it is this kind of like give and take of like the heart space and the higher heart, and weaving those with our um, higher self or highest self. Like, yeah, there's just encouragement to continue to do what feels most aligned, and then continue to support one another, remembering that you don't have to do it alone anymore. That lone wolf archetype, that Batman archetype, is like a thing of the past. We have activated the wolf pack frequency. You are sitting fully held in the field, in the collective, fully supported.
Oh,
Um, you can always howl, and you'll get one of us. Fusion of magic. Fusion of magic, Orion.
honoring our magic as we anchor into that awareness of the healed, unified collective. Oh, this is really interesting. I didn't notice this about this card before, but look at the pyramid. So not only is there a pyramid with like kind of threads that are tangled around him, but there's also like a mirrored reflection of that under him as well. So
It's like the Merkabel antipode. If
yeah,
you were to take a Merkaba and like split it apart and have the North Pole and the South Pole, right? Or where you're
yeah.
anchored at now, and then you have the antipode. There's so many layers to that.
And look at his chest too. His chest is missing
Oh
the
wow.
the pyramid. So it's you said it, you hit the nail on the head when you said separation. So yeah, this looks like a representation of that lone wolf energy in separation with the essentially magic of the coherence of the heart, separated from himself, and then he's tangled in the mechanics of it, probably trying to get back to unity consciousness with all that he is. So that's super duper interesting. I'm just imagining I'm untangling all of this. So we'll just calibrate this separation energy into the fully harmonized and resonant, fully integrated and embodied unity consciousness. Shifting beyond the duality polarity spectrum and into true alchemy, beyond wisdom, through the pulse of life at the galactic core as we allow new threads of light to ingrain and intermingle in our field, in our awareness.
It reminds me too of there's been times when I've just been really kind of lost in the sauce, like that person is, in between the dimensions, right? And you're looking for that anchoring or that grounding. Sometimes you have to kind of call up your Merkaba and sit in the middle of your Merkaba and just find a point of resonance, whether it's in the sun, whether it's at this headquarters that we were talking about, whether it's at a space or a place that you feel safe and grounded. Maybe it's underneath a tree, maybe it's walking the beach, maybe it's your favorite chair at your grandparents' house when you were a kid. Or even like consciously calling in the completed Merkaba as well too, right? A focus, a place to kind of find that personal um, frequency of resonance as we are traversing the many different levels and layers of being a multidimensional soul.
Yeah, and there's something here about harmonizing all the puzzle pieces as we remember the power of our magnetism, because we attract what we put into the field. And so the next card that came out, you can kind of look at the difference between these two. This force of attraction is almost like he's like there's I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but there's all these tiny little triangles that are like kind of separated. They look like puzzle pieces to me. So it's almost like this guy like figured out the the nature of reality creation, and that our thoughts and our words create the reality we see around us. And so, in kind of taking the reins of that process, he's effectively taken the puzzle pieces and bridged them all together in his power of will in a way. And it's reminding me a little bit of a session that we did like probably April, May-ish, where we channeled through this area between our heart and our solar plexus as it was like a galactic force of creation, the way that I saw it. Like black hole isn't really the word, but it had a similar voidy kind of feel. And so I'm just kind of feeling that level of creation energy emanating out of this person as he's honoring all that he is through all the pieces that are within him. Like I feel like this guy might be in, a little bit of rejection energy, like rejecting those emotions like we talked about before. And this one has like fully honored and stepped into that divine directorship and taken the reins on that. So that's a beautiful pairing right there. Mhm.
Yeah, and I love how the second card is like reaching through kind of like his own personal zero point. If you picture that space below the heart and like, you know, above the solar plexus, right? And he's like, it looks like they're reaching through um, into that kind of like toroid, like that personal toroid.
And he's like wearing the jester hat with glee too. Because part of honoring all parts of ourselves are all of the parts even that have like a quote unquote bad rap, right? Like we all have parts of us that have a little bit of trickster energy or joker or whatever you want to call it. But what makes us so vast and beautiful and unique is our full breadth of the spectrum that is us, that lives within us and is us. And so it's almost like he's um honoring his whole spectrum and wearing his trickster in a nice way, but as he's like just like harmonizing isn't the right word. It is in a way, but it's like I see him. This is an instrument. He's tuning his instrument, and then like you mentioned, plucking the strings on a guitar. Like that's exactly what this looks like to me. Is like I almost saw it like a flute, but strings works just as well.
Yeah, plucking the heartstrings really, and allowing that resonance to flow out into the field, flow out into the quantum, and then to call in. It says force of attraction, but I think the higher harmonized version would be the flow of attraction. Because when we talk about like quantum manifestation or just manifesting, period, um, our frequency turns into our vibration attracts into our reality, not just our physical reality, but typically manifestation is talking about physical reality. And even in times where it's like the force is like in those times when you're like, I'm thinking of like a desperate time or a time of just like high emotion. Right? It doesn't need to be desperate, but just a time of high emotion where our sheer will allows things to manifest into physical reality. And think about it's the end of September, right? It's the last day of September on this transmission and this mission log. Think back to the beginning of this year, January 2025.
That feels
All of
like
those,
lifetimes away.
yeah, but all of those, like, if you set an intention at the beginning of this year, think about what you were calling in. Think about the frequency of your heart as you were calling these things in, as you were setting an intention for whatever it is that we were going to call in 2025. Maybe even remember how we ended 2024, because a lot of times we're pre-grading our intention for 2025 in December, right? holding just so much gratitude for ourselves in that moment in January, for showing up, for calling in, for the frequency that we were at in that moment, as we set our intention upon the quantum field. And we opened our heart and we manifested and we called in through our frequency and in turn our vibration what we were willing into our reality. And then all of the quests and all of the magical people, like genuinely breathe in that path, that journey, that braid, those threads, the plasma, the light frequency, the rainbow bridge that you walked over, that you bridged time and time and time again. It's breathtaking. It's really hard to kind of conceptualize all of the things that we've done since the beginning of January, all of the things that we are in this now moment that we were in January, because we were exactly who we are now at that moment that we were sitting there manifesting or thinking about what we were wanting to bring forward to this year, or thinking about the soul family, like the yearning for whatever it was. Maybe it's things and stuff, maybe it's people, maybe it's community, whatever it is that lights you up inside. Man, I couldn't even imagine the outcome that I've come to. Literally 9 months later, I couldn't, you want to talk about like miracles, like that frequency of being surprised by the miracle has it's just so resonant.
Yeah, I think that's a great note to work our way towards completion on, just honoring gratitude for the miracles in the field. And as I'm sitting with this pair, I'm feeling like it's a good reflection to bring into the nodal network of solar consciousness that we began with. As we cleared out any areas of stagnancy or density or, plaque in the pipes of that light bridge, amplifying those connections and cleansing the circuits. This to me is a frequency of growth, expansion, and evolution beyond duality and polarity, separation, and into the highest light, highest good, highest support. And so just holding space for this frequency of this particular pair to just make its way up the connections, holding space for it within the sun's radiance chamber as we just resonate with it through a grateful heart, allowing this frequency pairing along with, so to create a perfect thirds with this, we are the third observer in a way, the third energy observing the transmutation, the coming together of the polarity, separation with the unity. And so Just anchoring in that perfect thirds as the observer, as the neutral witness, and then radiating this blend of alchemy and transmutation and full, truly aligned balance all the way through the network, through every line, both seen and unseen, through every connection point, every server space, firewall, pulling out all the technical hardware terms, but all layers, levels, and dimensions of what it really truly means to be a part of this connected network, and opening up the lines of communication, sharing these codes of unity consciousness and this frequency of highest alignment throughout all the star networks, through our galactic core, and all the constellations that reside beyond it. All the way to the great central sun, harmonizing and bridging all subsystems along the way, all of the mechanics at every level, witnessing the clarity and the beauty of this full system calibration and reset and reboot, upgrading all of the circuitry along the way, allowing these upgrades to finalize themselves in perfect order and perfect flow, with ease and grace and perfect integration. Thanking the Orion Brotherhood for stepping forward with this beautiful word picture. Thanking all of our friends, helpers, and guides, our team of expert harmonisticians, our public affairs representative from the, can we just call it quantum home base? Quantum home base, I like that. As well as all of our soul aspects and parallel selves that are devoted to serving one another in the most aligned way. Thanking all the dimensional beings, communications channels, the whales and dolphins, and all of our past, present, and future perceptions of self, other, and the infinite field of potential, bringing all together as one in this now moment, anchoring in a space of gratitude, compassion, and love as we unify our hearts into one song, one beat. Calling all of our energy back to us, cleansed and cleared, and any excess energy to be called into the void, into the quantum, to be perfectly aligned with its next mission, fully cleansed and cleared and transmuted in the frequency of highest alignment and highest good of every all. there anything more you want to say in closing?
I think it sounds like you covered everything. I just want to say deep gratitude to you for continuing to show up and hold the field, for continuing to lead us on so many different levels. I'm always delighted to be your co-pilot in many, many different ways. And then, yes, just to anyone that has made it this far in the recording, sending you so much gratitude, so much love for weaving with us, for your ability to traverse the quantum field with us and weave with us, and your depth and understanding as well. Really excited to hear what comes through for you, excited to continue to see what comes through for the quantum, what was it? It was QB, so quantum, what's the name of the place?
Did we say home base? Quantum
Oh,
home?
QH, Quantum Home Base. Yeah, Quantum
Oh,
Home Base.
that's a really cute, like, mirror reflection too, because weren't you calling it headquarters? So HQQH.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't even get that. But they definitely have more to share, so I'm probably gonna definitely tap in later and kind of see, because there is like a little bit of an excitement frequency where it's like, oh, you're here. Now we have some things we can weave on. So really excited to see what comes through. So yeah, thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for everyone that joined us today. Thank you if you're listening to this. Thank you for weaving and resonating with us in the field. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.